Go. Okay.
We come back west.
Oh, that was not very good.
I'll do it again.
Hold on, let me try one more time. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, so I'd like to,
Dave's not on, but you do have a quorum.
oh, okay. Should we ping them or?
No, just.
Okay, we have a quorum.
You have a
Okay.
quorum. You got 3 members.
We got 3 people. Okay. I'd like to call to order the Town of Mount Desert Planning Board meeting for February 23rd, 2022. I am Christy Anastasia. I am normally not the chair, but I am tonight. So almost. I probably have to be voted in, but and we have other board members here, including Tracy Loftus Keller, secretary?
Yes.
Secretary. And we have Meredith Randolph online, and we might have another board member joining us, Dave Ashmore. So if he pops in, that'll be great. This is a hybrid meeting, so we have people live and we have people online in the Zooms. For you folks who, I'm probably supposed to look at the owl here. For people who are on Zoom, if you can keep yourself muted, unless you have something to say, that'd be great. If you can use the chat function to sign in, that would be great, because then we'll know you're there for the record. And if we can keep comments to the meeting and not use the chat function for sideline conversations, that would be great too. It'll just kind of keep us moving along. I think the first thing I might need to do is have a oh, hi, Dave. We have Dave Ashmore now. I think we might need a motion. We need a motion for me to move from vice chair to chair? Okay.
For the course of this meeting, I make a motion to have Christy Anastasia act as acting chair in the absence of our regular chairman.
Meredith
Dave
Randolph.
Ashmore.
Oh,
Dave Ashmore, second.
It's a second, Meredith as a third. All those in favor?
Tracy Keller, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
myself, Anastasia, I am now the chair of this meeting. Anyone is free to help me in any way, shape, or form. I think I just told this group this is the first time I'm chairing, so looking for a little grace and patience here. The first thing we have on the agenda is continued from January 26th, 2022. Oh, we have minutes. Can I see this?
Yes.
So we have minutes to approval of minutes, which is the second thing on the agenda. And we have minutes for the January 12th, 2022 meeting, and the members present were William Hanley, Tracy Loftus Keller, Meredith Randolph, David Ashmore, and myself. Looking for a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Dave Ashmore, second.
As presented.
Minutes as presented.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have that? Okay. All right. So we have a first and we have a second? Okay. All those in favor, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Tracy Keller, aye.
and myself, Anastasia, I. Thank you. Do you have any other minutes, or those are the only minutes we have?
I believe that's
That's it. Yep.
Okay, moving on to third section of the agenda. As I previously said, too early. Continued from January 26, 2022. I should probably read this section, property owner.
Yes.
Okay. Property owner, Robert Lamar Hardy Jr., applicants, Aldo Adriazola, agents, Margaret T. Jeffrey, property location off Harborside Road, Common Northeast Harbor, tax map 026, lot number 025-002. Zone is residential 1. And the purpose of that meeting was to request a waiver of the street design and construction standards of section 5.14 of the subdivision ordinance for an existing private road. I think where we left it is we needed, oh, wait, this didn't need to be advertised,
No,
correct?
because it was continued from the January.
It was
January
continued.
26th, yeah.
And so we don't need to check for that, or we didn't have a site visit. Should we open it to the public for comment and then turn it over to the applicant?
I turn it to the applicant first because when you left on the 26th, there was information you were requesting. And so Margaret can explain what she submitted.
Are you prepared to do that?
Yes.
Thank you.
On, well, earlier this month, we submitted to the planning board a copy of a survey plan that was prepared by Tim Brochu. Tim Brochu is here today. At the end of the last hearing addressing this, you asked us to have a survey plan available. So we have submitted that to you. Tim Brochu is here. You also asked that we show the modifications on the survey plan that would show any changes that were required by the fire chief, the safety standards.
Yeah, I'm looking at the January 26th minutes, just to remind myself.
Yes,
So we wanted to see a stamped survey plan,
Yes.
the boundaries of the 20-foot wide right of way, or at least the center line of the ROW must be shown on the survey, and a design on the survey showing the hammerhead pulled solely onto the lot, or alternatively, proof that the hammerhead has a legal right to overhang onto the Whitman lot. Okay, thank you.
So we can put that survey plan, I think, if Mike can get screen sharing.
Mhm.
We have the survey plan showing both.
Let me just check for a second. Can everybody online see, you're seeing this? Thumbs up, okay.
And I probably should speak up. The survey plan, well, maybe I should turn it over to Tim Brochu, the surveyor, who can describe what the survey plan shows with regard to specifically the right of way.
Okay, and then you can use the mouse for pointing, presumably,
Okay.
yeah,
Mhm.
thank you.
Are you there, Tim?
Yep, I'm here. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so what we did was we prepared the boundary survey and added in the 20-foot right-of-way as requested up to the lot, which is shown in the heavier dashed lines outside of the right-of-way. So that's the survey plan. And then we also submitted the same survey plan with the roadway improvements requested by the fire chief as well. And both of the plans were stamped as requested.
Should we switch to the one with the hammerhead on it?
So that'd be,
Yeah, so if you have the one with the hammerhead on it, you could bring that one up, Mike. So this is the same thing, which is our same boundary survey. And all we did was the light hatching is where the road exists right now and the limits of the existing road. And the darker hatch on the left of the page shows where it will be built within the lot outside of the existing road. And then the road leading up to the lot on the two turns that come in, the inside and the outside, will be shimmed to provide the turning radiuses for the fire trucks as requested by the fire chief, as well as down by the entrance. We've widened out and defined more the entrance area without disturbing the existing rock wall or changing the drainage patterns in that area, that location. And I think that's about what we added to the plans. I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has if they've had a chance to look at the drawings.
I think everybody's just looking at it for a minute right now.
Hey, Tim?
Yeah.
So the entrance coming up Harborside Drive, will that help with the drainage that's there now, how it puddles? With any proposal?
It should, once we regrade that and lift that up and make it wider, it should get it into the curb line of the road so that it drains down the road.
So along the side of the road instead of into the road?
Right.
Okay. What's the width opening? The font here is really small, so
Yeah, it's about,
at the
Hang on.
mouth?
that's mouth, hang on a second, I can tell you.
Right.
just what it is.
Yeah,
From the stone wall to the power pole, 30 feet.
30 feet.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Exactly 30.
Sounds like we have an answer maybe of 30 feet.
And now this is in the 20
Yep.
foot, right?
30 feet.
Excuse me. Is it wider at the road or is it 20 feet all along?
It's wider at the road.
It's wider at the road, yes.
30 foot right away, then it meanders to a 20 foot?
No, it's 20 feet to the property line. The right of way of Harborside Road is offset by the edge of the pavement by about 20 feet. And within the Harborside Road is where it flares out for the turning radiuses.
So it's in the DOT right away.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Other questions from planning board folks? Meredith, you look very cognitive.
I have a question about the title on the triangle, on the triangular portion of the right of way that's on the Whitman property.
Yep.
Does the applicant have title on the Whitman property for that portion of the right of way?
The subject parcel, the Robert Lamar Hardy lot, was sectioned out of the Whitman lot back in the early 70s. And the written description in that deed conveys a 20-foot wide right of way to Harborside Road. So in my opinion, that whether it's on that property or on the abutting property, it's a blanket easement. So it covers the easement across that triangle as well.
Good, thank you. You answered my question.
Yep.
Yep. Do we have any public here? Yes.
I'm attorney Justin Bennett for Mr. Whitman, who owns that neighboring property.
Okay, hold on a second. Can everybody online hear the person in the audience? Okay, I see a thumbs up. You continue.
It's a question for Mr. Brochu.
Okay.
There's a 1976 survey plan the applicant's using that shows the right of way solely on or solely away from the Whitman property. So how does that 1976 survey plan description tie in with what we're seeing today with the overlap?
Did you hear that whole question?
I think I caught enough of it. You know, what I would have to say is I would have to look at whatever that this 1976 plan you're referring to. I don't have that, but this represents an extensive research into the boundaries of the property. And this is where all of the improvements lie. Whether at the time in 1976 that easement was shown, how was it shown? Was it shown in an approximate location? I can't say, but this is where the easement is now.
I mean, the 76 plan is part of the application paperwork, but separate to that, is is the roadway visible on any level as it approaches the hardy land? Are you able to see any roadway actual built as it approaches the hardy land?
Everything that's shown in shaded is existing gravel or pathways that are evident on the ground. All of that is there. That's what exists. And that was survey located in the field.
Okay.
Didn't the Whitman lot used to access that area? Wasn't there a garage there at one time that was on their lot that, and hence the reason why maybe that gravel drive goes over onto
Could be, yeah.
the Hardy lot?
You're correct.
We have found a 1952 survey plan that shows the roadway going to the Hardy lot as exactly where Mr. Brochu has shown the roadway, and Mike overlaid the two to show. I guess so, yeah. I think it would be a good time, and it might be good for Tim, Mr. Brochu, to look at that.
So just one second, Anne, I want to say, I see you have your hand up, and I'm sorry, I'm just seeing it now. So when we kind of finish this chunk of the conversation, I'll get to your question.
Yeah,
What year is this one?
1952.
52.
Okay. Do you also have the
53, excuse me.
53? Do you also have the other one that was being referred to, the 70? Did you say 75 or 76?
76.
Okay, do you also have that?
Application
It's right there.
So what we'd
Okay.
like to show, I mean, we would like to show that. What we'd
Okay.
like to show right now is a couple of things. First of all, the overlay of, well, first of all, this survey plan that's from 1953. And we can look specifically at the western, may I?
Yes, you may approach.
Here is the garage. The foundation still exists. And so this garage foundation is also on the survey plan that Mr. Brochu has done. Here is a western boundary line that is close to, but not the same as the lot as it exists today. That western boundary line has changed. You might remember that Mr. Whitman's lot included our lot. So it was a big lot like this. And then in 1970, I think 6, the owner of the large lot conveyed this smaller lot to Mr. De Normandy. And when they did that, they made this boundary line come right up here, not at this western boundary line, but near it. So maybe this shows it?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the new boundary line and the boundary line as it exists today. So you can see that the roadway as it went up, went into the Whitman property somewhat, this little bit.
He lost connection. He's got to reconnect.
Okay.
I've got a concern. I haven't seen that plan before. And every time I turn up to a meeting, there's a new plan that's shown.
They're in the
I
public
thought
record.
documents are meant to be submitted 14 days in advance. I can't really comment on what's being said.
They're in
It's
the
a-
public
a
record.
plan I haven't seen and hasn't been.
I'd like to, they are not, there is no, at the very beginning of the hearings, we do have to provide all information well in advance. We have just found this survey plan. We did not have it until today. We think that it would be best to fully contemplate the information that has just been found, and so that we can make decisions today.
My objection stands just,
Mhm.
I've been in the office all day. I haven't received a copy of that plan. And everybody knows I'll be here. Anyway, I've said enough, but
Okay.
you've got my concerns on record.
Okay. We're waiting, we lost our person, right? And did you have a question that you want to ask while we're waiting, or do you want to wait for the plans to come back up?
No, I can ask my question. First of all, I haven't seen that plan either. So, and I think that's something that it would be fair for me to see as well. Until just now. And also the places that you circled and somebody circled in red about on the corners about having to expand the driveway, which is my driveway. Who's going to be responsible for doing that?
Expanding it or upkeep or?
Well, you were saying that you're going to change the entrance, which is down by the Harborside Inn, and that's really their property, but I have a right of way across that to get to my portion of the driveway. And then, there's a right of way that Mr. Whitman has to get to the back side of his house. But in this proposal, it looks like there's going to have to be some movement and or expansion of the driveway. And I'm just curious who's going to be responsible for doing those things.
Okay.
The applicant would be responsible, the owner of the Hardy lot would be responsible for that. And
did you have a follow-up question to that, or was that the answer?
No, that answers that question. I have not seen the plan that Ms. Jeffrey has just put up just a minute ago either before till just now. There do seems to be different things going on and unexpectedly.
well, we were asked to show where the right of way is, where the roadway is, and we did find that 1950, I think, free survey
Could
plan.
you share it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask maybe Kim a question. We had this conversation last time about
Submissions.
submissions
You
and there.
have no time frame when people are to submit stuff. It's not fair, obviously, to abutters. If something comes in the day of the meeting, but you guys have accepted stuff the day of the meeting.
I just wanted that to come back in the room because I remember we talked about that last time.
And this is not in the record, by the way.
And we are presenting this in response to a question, which is the location of the right of way. We would not have presented this even today if there weren't the question posed whether let's see, the Hardy lot has a right of way over a portion of the Whitman lot. That question was asked. So we want to show that in 1953, the roadway was in its current location. And today it's still in its current location. And so when the conveyance happened in 1976, 73, the wording was together with the right of way in common with others over a 20-foot right of way from the above described premises to Harborside Road. So that's in 1973, halfway or something between this survey plan and today. And we're showing this overlay that the roadway has not moved. We also have, in the minutes from last meeting, there was discussion that the roadway has not moved. That discussion was where we can find the minute when Ann Tilney said no, in her knowledge, to her knowledge, the roadway has not moved. And I think that we see that in the survey plan, which we're presenting now only in response to that question.
And you're saying, Kim, this map right here is not in the record?
It's not, no, survey plans generally are not,
Okay.
but it is now.
If approved it is.
I mean,
It's
you know,
approved.
I mean, just as a reminder, I mean, the broader umbrella here, I believe, is this has to do with, you know, seeking a waiver for the, construction standards, the about lot access and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, the language, you know, if Phil were here, he would say that, you know, the proposed plan brings the road into compliance as much as feasible, you know, and provides safe access to and from the property and will allow for access to the site for emergency vehicles. I mean, those are some of the things that we're looking at right now. Is there more presentation or we're still entertaining questions? I felt like right before he got kicked off, you were going to show us something. Is that
Well,
true?
there also is, Mr. Bennett has raised the issue of the location as shown in the 1976 survey plan. The location as shown in that survey plan,
Which plan? Do you-
there's a 1976 survey
Okay.
plan.
In the package.
Yes, this one is it. And this is our lot, and this is the survey plan shown. There's another survey plan, I think it's 1971,
This
which-
76 plan was the one I was referring to.
which shows the driveway here and
Again, I'm
the
objecting.
garage here.
I'm objecting to this plan on the basis it hasn't been provided, submitted.
We
before the meeting,
had it
so
at
this
the
is
last
first.
hearing too. The garage here. If you look at the 1951, it shows the garage here, and that is actually, if you overlay with our current survey plan that Mr. Brochu has come up, has
Is that the overlay right
presented.
there? Oh,
I think this
okay.
is the overlay, and it shows the garage is actually here. So this roadway that Rains showed in 1971 and then in 1976, it's just shown in the wrong place on the survey plan. The survey plan was right in other ways that we know of, but he shows the garage over here and the road here. In fact, the garage was here and not in the road, in the middle of the roadway as shown on the Rains plan, the 1970s plan. Do you see what am I making sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just amazed at all the surveys and the trying to stitch them all together.
And we have this great overlay capacity, which is
Yeah.
really neat. Mhm.
Mr. Katina is an architect, so he's familiar with these tools, so
Mm.
that helps.
So Anne is chatting. I'm unable to see what Ms. Jeffrey is showing you all. I think the disconnect is you're pointing to the screen, but the pointer is not pointing to
Oh.
the same thing on the map for the people that are online.
Mhm.
And would you like something else to be pointed out? We can ask the pointer to point to it for you. Was there something specific you wanted to see?
No, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, no, I just couldn't see what she was actually pointing to.
Yeah.
And you know, she mentioned that I said I'm not aware of, well, I wouldn't be aware of any other any changes because, you know, I was a teenager back in the 70s, and I didn't actually take ownership of this until 2006. So I wouldn't know about any changes if there were any changes. So I couldn't say yes or no as to whether there have been any changes. But again, I hadn't seen this new 56 plan or whatever it was until tonight. That's it.
Okay. Is that a hand up, Dave?
Yeah. Has Tim seen all of the plans that we're talking about?
Yeah, when we do our research for our boundary survey, we generally find all of these plans as well as all of the written deed information. And we prepare our plans based on the actual located monumentation descriptions and the old plans. What I will say is, we've come a long ways with the quality of surveys from the 70s and especially from the 50s. We're much more accurate. We represent things more accurately. It's very common to find old surveys from especially the 50s and even into the 70s, where if it says, then they have a 20-foot right of way, that they just sketch it on. They don't even locate it. Because to locate that road back then, they would have to actually do it manually. Whereas we can go through there with an electronic instrument and have it done in an hour. It'd take them 2 days to locate it. So it's not uncommon to find, especially these discrepancies with an easement right away like this.
Yeah, no, I fully understand that. I'm quite familiar with survey practice. My question was, did you have the benefit of these plans?
Yes.
When you put the seal on your plan? And
Yes.
that was really that's my only question.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
So we have a registered land surveyor saying where the right of way is located now. And we don't have anybody providing us with any evidence that says the right of way was in a different location.
Okay, we have a comment from the audience.
It's a question for
Public.
Tim. We've just heard that the 1952 plan was found this morning or provided this morning. So was the 1952 plan, did you have that before today?
Again, part of our research is to look for old plans and stuff. I could go through every plan to find out whether we had that exact plan or not. I can't say one way or the other. However, we did have the majority of all the plans. And we don't always have to look for every single plan if the boundary, the information is coming together based on the located evidence. So I can't say one way or another if we had that exact plan, but we had a lot of them.
Okay, and just the other comment, there is the survey plan from a surveyor in 1976 that puts the road somewhere else. So there is conflicting survey evidence.
Not in my mind, no, not in my opinion.
Can
The
you say more?
boundaries all line up with the exception of where he sketched on a foundation and a right of way, in my opinion.
But is the 1976 plan a surveyor's plan?
I would have to pull it up and look at all over the certifications on it. I don't have it physically in front of me, so I can't say.
I understand that it's with the packet, it's by Robert Rains surveyor. And it says survey.
Again, if I had it in front of me, I could make a comment on it, but I do not have it in front of me.
I understand, yeah, thank you.
Can I get your sign in?
Sure.
So I think what I hear you saying though is, you don't always have to have every single plan, but you
No.
had many of the plans to work from.
Yes.
And deeds, and where there appeared to be discrepancies or data that wasn't completely lined up, sometimes that's what you expect when you're looking at maps from different circas and different types of technologies they had at those times.
Absolutely.
Surveyor, so Dave might be able to summarize that better than me, but
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's, the boundaries themselves fit fairly well. Those were generally the most important thing back then. And it's not uncommon to find these other items, discrepancies in these items.
Okay, Roger?
Thank you. I'm here on behalf of Paul, the neighbor to the north. Tim, I understand what you're saying with respect to the location of the right of way and how that can vary from survey to survey. I'm struck, however, by the presence and then the deletion and then the reoccurrence of the right-of-way as it extends to Paul's property to the north. Not so much the location, but the existence. It seems to disappear and then reemerge based on who's doing the survey. And I'm concerned that that issue, the existence of that right of way, has not been resolved.
What we found in our research is we found a deed in book 747, page 361, which we noted on our plan, that relinquishes the rights of that easement across the Lamar Party property to the neighbors to the north. It was very clear. It said the intent of it was to eliminate any rights they had over that, for access over that property. We showed it because there's still remnants of it there. But we noted on there where it was relinquished.
And we're sort of doing a deep dive into that issue.
Yep.
And we'll hopefully have some definitive answer before a building permit is requested.
And yeah, I can only represent on here the legal documents that I find in my research.
No, and I understand. I don't
Yep.
mean to put you on the spot in that way. I'm just struck by that's released in that right of way continues to show up on and off the surveys post what you have claimed is the release date. And so there must be some alternate opinion.
Well, I don't think, what we try to represent on there, one of the things that we do with the surveys we do today is to locate all of improvements on the property so that we can represent what they are and what they are not. So there is a gravel pathway there. So we located it, did research on what is this? Does somebody have a right of way through here? So we showed it and then showed what we found was that at one time there was a right of way, however, it had been relinquished by that deed. And that's the legal information that we found.
And just one other question, and Madam Chair, thank you for your indulgence. Is the condition of that gravel pathway that you saw heading, at least on what's shown here, north of the hammerhead, is it roughly the same as it was below the hammerhead?
No, it was much rougher.
Okay,
Can I
thank you.
interject? I believe that the parts of the road, it's not, I don't believe it was ever a road going up to the Nitsy property. It's a pathway to the trails.
Right.
I get to know.
David Sweet.
The survey plans too, as I've seen them, show existing drive going north of, or actually on the Hardy parcel that we're looking at. South of there, you see the language 20-foot right of way. But then as you get farther north, I think I've looked through and always seen that it says existing drive, I think is the wording that I've seen on the survey plans that I've seen. I might have missed one, but I have not seen any that said 20-foot right of way, as they do say south on the southern portion of that roadway.
But surveyors are always required to show any evidence that exists on the property for several reasons. But that doesn't mean that it's anything other than something that exists on the property. And it doesn't mean anybody has any legal right to it.
Right.
Anything left on the presentation? Are there questions or comments from the public on this?
Can we go further down the hill to Harborside?
You mean like scroll paper south to
South.
see that? Yeah.
South, please. Okay, the first turn right there, it doesn't show it, but right on the corner, on the bottom, the lower turn, is the entrance to the west driveway, which is a circle that goes into the back, the west side of the inn. Nothing needs to be done to the road right there. It's ledge with moss covered ledge, and ledge is showing. And it's open. So any vehicle can, if it needs to turn a little bit more, just turn on the ledge.
Kind of where that pencil is right now in that
On the
area.
right hand
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
right, Yep,
yeah.
right there. Now, when you go up to the next turn, the other turn, you need to pad it out on the, right exactly where your arrow is. You need to pad it out just a hint right in there. But you gotta be careful, because a little, right where you're, the top of the red circle right there on that, that right there, is where a stone wall, oh, probably about 3 feet tall, runs the whole rest of the length of the road, all the way up to the driveway to Tilney's. And you can't bump it out much there at all. You can only bump it out on the west side. And it's 12 feet right there. Everything else is 14 to 15 feet wide.
Okay.
What is the width that we need to get?
Well, if it has to follow the subdivision, it's gonna be a
Yeah.
50-foot right
Yeah.
of way with 16 travel with 3-foot shoulders.
What's the width we need for a fire truck?
He's approved 14.5,
14.
which is 12 travel surface.
Yeah.
With 2.5 clear on the sides, and so it's 14.5 and 14.5 above.
Now, we would like to rebuild the lower part of the road with tar. It needs to be rebuilt. But we'd rather, if they're gonna get an okay to take and do construction up there, you don't wanna do it before they do the construction. We wanna do it the last thing after the construction's over with.
You mean going in off of Harborside Road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So trash the road, then fix it.
I think that's it.
Don't do it the other way around.
What's the width? Is there a specified width on the plan?
Yep.
That's shown.
Yeah, they show it. Can you pull up there's one of your that shows 14.5, 12 on your plan. I don't know what plan it was.
We included a note on the
Yeah.
bubbles, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to read, but it's on D, it's on exhibit D, but it's got little, yeah. You can't read it because it's small font. Maybe they can zoom in on it over there.
Those X's didn't show.
Those are elevation.
I saw one that had the
Yeah.
widths going up in different areas.
Yeah.
Right here on this 1976 survey, it shows 9 feet 4 inches. Can you see? Okay, where I'm pointing, 9.4 here, and then it's 12 feet here, and 11.6 at this bend, and then 13.4 here.
Yeah.
And then 10.8 to 16 feet up this, beyond this.
Okay. This is what's
You
existing.
wanna look at it?
But
Yeah,
what they're proposing, what are the widths that you're proposing for the road?
12 feet wide with a buffer on either side.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
yeah,
Which is pretty much what's there.
Pretty
It's
much,
just really
yeah.
rough.
with the exception of the bends, it looks like the bends, Mike Bender wanted a little
Maybe
bit
go up
wider,
to 14.
yeah.
Tim,
Yeah.
pull out, see the picture,
See the photo?
the picture of the entrance.
Should we show that on the screen for everyone?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
guy there.
the color
Okay.
photo.
See the pole, see the power pole?
Yeah, right there.
And
Yeah.
the rock wall on the other side?
Yep.
It's
That's
exactly
30.
It's exactly 30 feet between the two of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, see, they look like they're doing right here, they're gonna widen it.
Okay, now the dotted line on the left-hand side,
Mhm.
ditch,
Yeah,
okay? And what he's got a dot, and on the right-hand side, they're both the exact same thing. There's just vegetation that's turned brown. I don't
was
think,
there ditching along there ever?
what's that?
Was there actual like ditching that was ditched?
On the stone side, there is.
There is along
On the
here,
Stonewall
so that
side,
just
there is.
probably needs to be cleaned out and maintained.
Well, what it is somebody 3 years ago came down the road with a file on the front of his truck. And see the divot in the middle of the road there where, yep, right there on the
Yeah.
stone wall side, he hit the wall, knocked out 2 stones.
That's it there.
And the ditch has been plugged for 2 years. And I've been adding stone in that spot for the people in the summertime. So what I'm getting at is on the right-hand side of the road, he's got a circle around it.
Mhm.
Somebody said, put some stone in there.
Yep.
And it'll all be down at the bottom of the road every year. So don't do anything.
Unless you
there.
put it, like, you can do crushed stone with filter fabric, you know,
I'm just
let
saying,
it-
Well,
well,
now, we
kind of
want,
like what you guys did on your other driveway side, you're in.
right.
but you already have front, so where the leaves start on the left-hand side to
Mhm.
where the telephone pole is, that pavement, that's almost 20 feet. And then it goes to, it's about 14 feet that you can get without going over into the red on the right-hand side.
Well, these were the requests of the fire chief for the turning
Sure.
radius to get the
But
fire.
actual
truck in.
construction, we don't have to, that's just a drawing on it.
Yeah,
on
no, they
picture.
gotta put that, they gotta bring it up to what the fire chief's asking for the
Because
turning radius.
that'll put it at like 17, probably 18 foot.
Yeah, he wants it wider for the turning radius for his truck.
He
The
can
turning radius, they'll be in the driveway by the time he gets to past the telephone pole.
Well,
Telephone.
his letter stated that he wanted this entrance to be wider. I think he wanted it 30 feet, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it's 30 feet at the road.
Stone wall to the pole, our pole is exactly 30 feet. And on the other side of the pole is drainage ditch and the storm drain. And on the left-hand side,
Which
storm
one?
drain's right there. You can't see any of it all.
Yeah, well, I think if ditching got put along there, that the water will go to it, to the storm drain there. Instead of going out into the roadway. Where's my brother's letter? Got it?
Well, I have notes here from the attachment from Fire Chief Bender dated 11/16/21. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, I'm looking for what he said.
Yeah, it says,
We want stone thrown in.
approach entrance at Harborside Drive must be widened to provide easy access for larger vehicles such as a fire truck. The applicant would propose to improve the existing entrance in accordance with the driveway widening included in the next bulleted item. Photographic depiction of the widening of the entrance is attached.
So
as
that's what
Exhibit
that
C.
C is.
This will include definition and expansion of the travel way within the existing site improvements, which include a historic granite block wall, utility pole, and substantial legacy trees. The existing entrance is approximately 30 feet wide at the edge of Harborside Drive and can be improved within its existing limits to provide turning movements entering and exiting onto the main road by larger vehicles such as fire trucks. This will allow the existing rural charm of the driveway to be maintained, which is important to neighboring property owners. And then there's on.
Yep, no, good. Yep.
Anyway, what I'm saying is on the east side, the right-hand side going up, you change that and you put stone there, it is all gonna be at the bottom of the road, all that stone.
Well, they're gonna have to make sure it doesn't.
What's that?
They're gonna have to make sure it doesn't go out into, they're gonna have to make sure it does not go out into, well, maybe put bigger blasted ledge in the, like you did in your driveway on the right side going in with filter fabric.
Those fabric won't do much.
What?
I mean, that's, the other side, that's more pitched than the other side.
Maybe so.
It is so. I've been picking up the stone every year.
Well,
Okay.
they'll have to get it engineered, is what they're gonna have to do. To make sure that doesn't happen. Because DOT will be on it too, so.
I see the applicant shaking their heads.
No, in agreement,
It'll be-
it
it'll be-
Shaking
basically-
it'll be
positively,
required because
affirmatively,
There's a
sorry.
drainage issue there anyways, and they can't create more of an issue out onto the roadway. So they're gonna have it engineered, maybe put a culvert underneath the road to divert it into that ditching that's along the roadway.
We're culverted it up.
What?
There's right by the stone on the left-hand side of the stone wall, there's a storm drain right there.
Yep.
On the other side of the power pole, there's a storm drain right there. There's another one down around the corner, the
I
other
see that.
entrance that goes in, the storm
Mhm.
drain right there. And in between those two, there's one more storm drain. And those 4 storm drains take all the water coming off of the southeast side of Schoolhouse Ledge, all of it, those 4, that's it. From, what's he pay for that? Ed Branch's house. Remember Ed Branch? Where he used to live? Kendra Cole,
Who?
Kendra Cole.
Top of the hill.
Top of the
Top on that side, to the top of the hill on that.
It's all before my time, sorry.
So,
All the water from, Kendra Cole's house and Ed Branch's house, and all the water from Gray Rock comes to those 4 drains right there.
Mhm.
It's all taken care of. Don't frig with it. The reason it comes out in the road this time of year is because there's too much water and they're frozen.
okay, I'm sort of feeling like where we are right now is, I'm gonna try to wrap this up together, is this, I don't think anybody really thinks this can or wants this road to be widened to the street design and construction standards. You know, people want it to keep it as much as possible the way it is, small, rural. With that being said, there are some areas that need to be widened because for safety reasons, the fire chief has requested widening, and those areas have been shown. I feel like we got all kind of crumbly on, do we have a surveyor map? What does it tell us? Where is the road? Is the hammerhead going to be on the property or off the property? Is there permission to do that? That's like a lot of the conversation we've been having on this. You came back to us with what we asked you to come back to us with at this point. Where am I going now, Kim?
You've gotta go, now you gotta review section 611. What, ideally, what you just read, and you gotta go through those 3 A, B, and C. And then you guys gotta do your findings of facts and conclusions of law, and then vote on them one by one.
Okay,
It's on the agenda. Yep. This one here.
The last little
oh,
paragraph.
right, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So should I read the subdivision ordinance, the paragraph above it first?
Yes.
Okay, so the subdivision ordinance, section C, waiver and modifications of this ordinance, 6.1.1, where the board finds that a private road providing access to a lot or lots cannot meet the street design and construction standards of section 5.14 because A, the application of land use restrictions would prevent the work required to bring an existing road into compliance, or B, physical conditions of the site render strict compliance impossible. So A and B, then the board may waive such standards. However, in all such cases, the board must find that A, the proposed plan brings the road into compliance as much as is feasible. B, the proposed plan will provide safe access to and from the property. And C, the proposed plan will allow for access to the site for emergency vehicles. So I should start with A, right? Okay. So if we start with A, the proposed plan brings the road into compliance as much as is feasible. Do we do a motion there or findings of
You
fact?
gotta do a findings of fact.
Okay. Do I have to do this or can someone else do
No,
this?
someone, you can't do
Right.
motions. You gotta have the other board
Okay.
members.
All right, so I'm looking for a motion for the A section of that. And it needs to follow kind of the findings of fact, the conclusion of law, and that the standard has been met or not met.
Christie, did we have to establish or did we have already established in the previous meeting that we had the standings to be discussing the waiver, that it just physical conditions of the site render strict compliance impossible? Did we do that in the last meeting so we don't have to?
I
Or-
feel like we did, but
I can't remember, it was a while ago now.
I know, that's the problem with the continuations.
Well, I guess I think it's easy enough to just say, yes, it's.
So are you proposing a motion that says that it can't meet, therefore we're looking at a waiver?
As I was just gonna say, let's take that step first before we delve into the
Okay.
ABC of it.
Okay,
So I make a motion that the physical conditions of the site strict compliance impossible. And that's why we have the right to be reviewing the possible waiver.
possible waiver and modifications. Okay. Do we have a,
Yes, I'll second that.
okay, and all those in favor of Meredith's motion, Dave?
Dave Ashmore, yes.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
and myself, Anastasia, I. Okay, step one. Moving on to A now. Do we want to discuss if the proposed plan brings the road into compliance as much as is feasible? Do we have a motion for that? Findings of fact.
I make a motion for that between dogs barking.
Second,
Are you gonna make the motion, Dave?
I heard Meredith and Dave is what I thought I heard,
Yeah.
correct?
Are you the motioner, Meredith?
Yes,
Okay, and Dave was the second? Okay, all those in favor, Dave?
Wait, are we moving that?
Yeah, what's the
proposed plan-
motion?
Yeah, the proposed
yeah.
plan brings the road into compliance as much as is feasible.
Right.
Yes,
Do we want that based on findings?
yes. Can you add to that, Meredith? Is your dog still barking?
sorry, yes, they've calmed down now. I just couldn't
Okay.
talk.
Okay. Do you want to add a findings of fact to that? Because,
Because the fire chief laid out what would be satisfactory. And they've proposed a plan that he found agreeable.
that might be for B and C. I
Okay,
think. This is more about.
well,
does
maybe
it-
it's for all of them. Okay,
Do you want to take a crack at that again? Dave?
the proposed plan brings the road into compliance as much as feasible by defining the 20-foot right of way and widening it to and they are able to widen the curves to an agreeable width.
For a turning radii or something like that?
For a turning radius, okay.
Okay, is that gonna work?
Yeah, well, the proposed plan brings the road into compliance as much as feasible within the existing 20-foot wide right of way. Widening areas on the turning
And improvements.
And
at
then the
the-
improvement from the entrance from Harborside Road onto Harborside Road.
Okay, does that work, Meredith? Did you hear all of that?
Yes.
Okay. So. Okay, so we're done with that. So now, do we have a second to that?
I thought I heard Dave.
I still
Dave.
second that.
Oh, you still have it? Okay. And then, sorry. All those in favor? Dave,
Aye, Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
and I myself, Anastasia, I. Okay, moving on to B. The proposed plan will provide safe access to and from the property. Do we have a motion on that with some findings of fact? Which is what you were talking about earlier, I think, Meredith.
Well, except for it's C that refers to emergency vehicles. I don't know if B would be more in reference to that is an existing right of way that's been used for years and has worked just fine, has worked satisfactorily for the residents.
Okay, do you want to turn that into a motion?
And make a motion that they satisfied B, providing safe access to and from the property on the basis of existing conditions. Years of the existing conditions being satisfactory to the residents.
Satisfactory and safe.
Yes.
Do we have a-
Satisfactory.
Yeah, satisfactorily safe.
Yes, there we go.
Okay. So do we have a second for that motion?
Tracy Keller, I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
and I myself, Anastasia, I. Moving on to C. Okay. The proposed plan will allow for access to the site for emergency vehicles. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that the proposed plan widens the entry and the curves to satisfy concerns expressed by the fire chief, and due to the letter submitted by the fire chief, the requirement has been satisfied.
Okay, and I think that letter was dated November 16, 2021.
Actually, email.
Email, okay. Did you get all that?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Dave Ashmore, second.
Okay, all those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
and I myself, Anastasia, I. And do I have to do any kind of summary thing here?
No, but those are the only sections you have to have.
Okay,
over.
so is this section concluded?
Do we need a motion to grant the waiver, or does this effectively do it?
Yeah, no, I'd probably do a final one, saying therefore the waiver is granted.
Meredith Randolph, I'll make a motion that the waiver is granted.
Second?
Dave Ashmore, second.
Okay, Dave seconded. And all those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
and I myself, Anastasia, I. Okay, are we done?
Yeah, next one.
Thank you.
Okay, we are moving on to section 4 of the agenda, conditional use approval applications. The first conditional use approval application we have is 002-2022. Owner's name, Cheryl C. and H. James Gilmore. Agent is Tom Lawrence. Location 9.
Someone's hat.
Hat, somebody left a hat. Location is 9 Lower Dunbar Road, Seal Harbor. Tax map 031, lot 091-002. Zone is Village Residential 1. Purpose, section 3.4, public school. Erect, install 4 20 feet by 10 feet canopies to allow students to be outdoors. Site inspection was at 4 o'clock today. Was this advertised?
It's in the packet there.
Yeah.
Okay, it's in the packet.
Well.
Do you
I
need to
read
see
it
the
you.
packet?
Yeah.
She needs to read
Do
it.
you need to touch it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, don't mess it up. Okay.
Okay, it's somewhere here, for the back. Shows that it was published in the Ellsworth American on Thursday, February 10th. Just,
And the butters notices were in there too.
The butters were notified. Come on, come on. No.
It's the
Yes.
letter in the packet with them.
oh, here. Okay, that is dated February 7th, 2022. To a number of abutters,
Okay,
8 households
yes.
were notified.
Okay, anybody on the board have a conflict of interest? Hearing none. How many people went to the site visit? Okay, Tracy, would you be willing to report on the site visit?
Yes, I met with Tom Lawrence at 4 o'clock, and we walked around into the back of the schoolyard, I guess you could say, which is a large grassy area with some little bit of gravel. And Mr. Lawrence discussed or showed me where the tents will be erected this coming year if we're granted their permission. And then Christy showed up and we went and did the whole thing over again very nicely. But there is I guess you could say they're going to be sort of an L shape of tents that would allow children to be outdoors in the fresh air, but separated from each other. And I defined they're only going to be, it's not going to be up for a long time. It's just going to be up for a summer season. And on the application, there's some dates. It says from a start date to an end date.
Okay, maybe the applicant can present that when they present it. Thank you.
Well, but she'd like to keep these every summer.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's not just for the 2022 season.
We did this
You
last
guys-
year as a
last year
one
you did
time.
it For a one time.
Right.
Correct. And
Right.
actually, she said they got destroyed
Oh.
by the
yeah.
wind and stuff. So these are a different type of canopy.
And now she's asking to
And now
have them
she's
there.
asking to have them every summer.
Okay, so that's the
But
difference.
that's the difference is you guys before just approved it for 1 year
For
due to
one time.
COVID.
Mhm.
But now she'd like to keep these every summer.
Okay, should I turn it over to the applicant for a
You can,
presentation?
you can,
Open it for
See,
comment.
No, you can ask the applicant if he has any additional information.
Oh, hi there, applicant.
And then
Do you,
open it to the public.
I don't think we have any public anymore.
Yes, you do.
Oh, okay, online. But no, I should let the applicant,
Yeah, he didn't have nothing to.
you don't
add
have
there.
anything to add to that? Okay, anybody from the public have any comment on that? I feel like I'm
The hearing none, close the
Here-
public hearing.
hearing none, close the public hearing.
Is
Um,
there any way to kind of bundle the two applications that they're doing two things here?
No, you have to do them separately because they're two separate applications.
Two packets.
Okay. I think this
You
is
gotta
when I
vote.
want,
You gotta vote. Do you want to do long form
Yeah.
or short form?
right.
Meredith will jump in on that one.
So I think
Or I
I'm
will.
looking for a motion
I
that
will
has,
make a motion for the short form.
okay,
Second.
second. Somebody seconded?
Yes.
Dave,
Dave
and-
did.
Oh, okay. All those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith?
No, I object. I want the long form. I'm
Okay.
joking. I.
Keller, aye.
And I myself, Anastasia, I, we will be using the short form for this. And motion to find the application complete.
Mhm.
Motion, looking for a motion to find the application complete.
I will make a motion that the application is complete. Tracy Keller.
Second,
I'll second that.
thank
Randolph?
you. All those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Casey?
Tracy Keller, aye.
And I myself, Anastasia, I. We're gonna use the short form. We don't have to do the weird approve the application, pause it. With the short form. No, we just start using the checklist, right?
No, we approved to
approve-
move,
yeah,
to
we
approve
conditioned
to
it.
approve,
Yeah.
move to approve, and then discussion is the checklist. That is why we do it this way. And then once you've discussed it through the checklist, then you approve it,
Okay,
There you go.
or not.
I make a motion to approve the application.
okay, second,
Go for it, Dave.
Dave Ashmore, second.
okay, all those in favor, Dave?
No,
No, no, we gotta talk about it.
Sorry.
Now the
This is
checklist.
so confusing, okay.
No, you got it.
Checklist, okay, I've got the short form checklist in front of me. Hey, I already made a motion for some grace and patience and all of this.
That was a plea for that.
Doing good, doing good.
Okay.
We got your back. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so let me just make sure I have the checklist here and the application. So in using the short form, we have section 6A. Is that it? I think that's it.
6B and C,
6A,
or 5.9.
6, oh, here's 6B. And oh, 6C, okay, and then 5.9.
Mhm.
Okay, all right, so I think we just start with 6A, general performance standards. And the first one on that is compatibility. And the application says that the physical size is the 4 canopies are 10 feet by 20 feet. The visual impact, the canopies are silver with white poles. They are open on all sides. Photos were provided. There are 3 picnic tables under each. Proximity to other structures. The 2 closest to the building will be 25 feet from building. The 2 closest to the property at 6 Upper Dunbar will be 15 feet from the property line. Density of development is NA.
Have we given, we already gave the opportunity for the public to make any comment, didn't we? Okay.
Yes. Yes, and there was not a peep.
Well, I was just thinking that the compatibility, as this has already been done, is that it works.
Yeah, right. Like, there's nobody from the public saying that that was horrible last year.
And that's why I wanted to check that there isn't some public sitting there saying, when do I get my opportunity to say that was just horrible?
I never got any complaints last year with it either.
So do we just say for compatibility, C application?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to erosion and sedimentation control. It lists,
I'd say NA because
NA.
they're gonna be placed on grassed area according to her
Yep.
notation, so there's really gonna be no soil disturbance, and if it is minimal, just sticking a post in the ground.
Okay, so if the application says NA, 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 do we say C application or do we say NA?
Just say it's not a, put, yeah, NA.
Okay. Okay. Moving on to highway safety, 6A3. Highway safety is also listed as NA. So NA for the checklist. Impact on town services is listed as NA, none, so NA. 6A5, land suitability. All 4 canopies will be placed on a grass area. See application. 6A6, lighting, NA.
No
So
lighting proposed.
no lighting proposed, so NA. Moving on to 6A7, stormwater,
NA.
NA. And moving on to 6A8, vegetation, NA. And then 6A9, dust fumes, vapors, outdoor odors and gases,
I'd say NA.
NA.
And now you vote on that section. Findings of facts and conclusions. Yeah.
Okay, do we have a motion for section 6A, general performance standards?
I make a motion that the standards of section 6A have been met.
That's it.
Okay, that's good. Do we have a second?
Tracy Keller, I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
and I myself, Anastasia, I. Moving on to 6B, specific performance standards for activities and land uses. 6B2,
Actually,
where's
Kristen,
6B1?
You can say 6B1.
Oh,
You
it's
can
over
say
here.
All of, none of section B is applicable.
Okay,
Therefore,
they're
this-
all NA.
Yeah, they're all, yeah, because they're all
Okay.
not applicable to this
Okay.
application.
can I get a motion that the section 6B does not apply to this application?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, will somebody second it?
Tracy Keller, I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I. Okay, that was easy.
Yep.
Uh,
6C, because it's not in the shoreline zone.
Okay, looking for a motion for 6C because it's not in the shoreline zone.
I'll
I'll
make
make
a
a-
motion that 6C is not applicable because it's not in the shoreline zone.
Okay, second,
Tracy Keller, second.
all those in favor, Dave,
Muted.
he said aye, right?
Yeah.
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Okay, Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Stacy,
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I. Continuing through the short checklist, that doesn't feel that short. We're moving to 5.9 standards. I'm trying to catch up over here.
But also shoreline.
Yep.
Yeah.
Therefore not applicable either, because it's not in the shoreline zone.
All right.
Section
Can I get a motion?
9 is not applicable. I make a motion that is not applicable because it's not in the shoreline.
Tracy Keller, I'll second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
and I myself, Anastasia, I. So now we go back to the motion of finding the application complete. So I think I need a second.
Moving.
Approve it. You're approving. it.
We're-
Conditions?
Yeah.
Oh, are there any permit conditions? Does anyone have any permit conditions? Hearing none, can we get a motion to approve?
We've already made the motion to approve it. We're
Who
now
seconded?
just voting.
Oh, right. Okay, okay. So all those in favor? Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy?
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I.
Number one.
Okay, one down, one to go.
Yep, okay.
Application approved? Okay,
You guys
Application
sign
approved.
that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
you two sign that, the last page.
like a
What about the one
copy.
in the packet, is there the short form? Is that the one that was in the packet, Christie, the one you have?
No, the one I have is just the one I printed.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so the packet should have the short form in it.
Here, this little one here.
Yep, and then just sign the last page.
And you all have to come into the office to sign that. You too, Dave.
Yeah, you too, Dave, you have to fly out, sign it.
Okay, so if we put this back in the packet, the things, and give me the one about the trailer.
Thank you.
Give me that.
Okay, moving on. We are looking at item 4B on the agenda, another conditional use approval application 003-2022. Owner's name Cheryl C. and H. James Gilmore, agent Tom Lawrence. Location is 9 Lower Dunbar Road, Seal Harbor. Tax map 031, lot 091002. The zone is Village Residential 1, also known as the R1. The purpose is section 3.4, public school. Install an RV, recreational vehicle, temporarily on site to be used as an incubation area during the COVID pandemic 2022 year. We had was this advertised and were butters notified?
Yes, this was advertised in the Ellsworth American on Thursday, February 10th, 2022. And abutters were notified by a letter dated February 7th, 2022. And there were 8 households on the list of abutters notified.
Okay, they were the same abutters from the first
Yes.
one. Yeah, okay. I got that there. No conflicts of interest on the board with this? Nope, hearing none. Okay, site visit. You and I both went to the site visit. Can
Yes.
you report for the second section?
Yes, our site visit was officially at 4:05, at which time we had concluded speaking about the tents, and we spoke about the trailer. It's going to be a little bit shorter than the one that was in place last year, but situated in approximately the same location. And it will be there for the same duration of seasonally as the tent, so they're concurrent items.
She does, yeah, but she's only keeping this for the summer of 2022.
As opposed to the
The
canopies.
canopies were gonna be every summer.
Okay, so we don't have to go through that again.
Right.
Okay. Does the applicant want to add any other information?
No.
Okay. Open it to the public for comment. Hearing none, we will move on to,
I make a motion to use the short form.
yes,
And I'll second that.
okay. All those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy?
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I. We will be using the short form for that.
And now I make a motion to approve the to find the application complete.
I'll second that motion to find application complete.
Okay, so Meredith and Tracy. All those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy?
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I. So we will be using the short form for this application. Okay, so starting with the checklist.
Now approve it.
Oh,
I make a motion to approve the application.
okay, second.
Tracy Keller, I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor?
No.
No. Pause. Okay. All right. So now can I start with the checklist?
Yes.
Okay, so starting with 6A, general performance standards, I'm gonna start with 6A1, which is compatibility. Physical size, the RV is 22 feet long by 8 feet wide. The actual length with the trailer hitch is 24 feet. The visual impact will be parked in our designated parking space on our property. It will be placed 20 feet from the edge of Upper Dunbar, 10 feet from the property line. Proximity to other structures, 153 feet from the schoolhouse. Density of development, NA. So for that one, we should just say C application. Okay, moving on to 6A3, which is erosion and sedimentation control. It's all NA. Everyone agree with that so far?
Yes.
Okay. 6A3, highway safety. Proposed use shall not cause unreasonable congestion on highways or public roads. It says NA because it's placed on the property in a designated parking area. And the part of that about sufficient off-street parking shall be available, it says yes. So for highway safety, we should see application. Moving on to 6A4, impact on town services. It says none. There is, the wastewater has a holding tank and electricity comes from the existing service. So for impact on town services, see application. 6A5, land suitability. It's on a flat gravel space. So see application. Lighting, 6A6, lighting outdoor. There will be none. So NA, so NA. And then stormwater, which is 6A7, is also NA. And then 6A8, which is vegetation, is NA. And 6A9, dust, fumes, vapors, odors, and gases is also NA.
I make a motion that the finding that the standards of section 6A have been met.
Okay,
Dave Ashmore, second.
okay, all those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith? Are you frozen, Meredith?
I was,
Meredith, aye.
Meredith, I.
Oh, okay. Tracy? I myself, Anastasia, aye. Okay, moving on to section 6B, specific performance standards for activities and land uses.
It's the same as the previous one.
Right, okay. You get a motion that it does not apply?
Tracy Keller, I'll make a motion that section 6B does not apply.
All right, second.
Dave Ashmore, second.
Okay, all those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy?
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, aye. Moving on to 6C,
No,
which is also, is it also gonna be an NA?
it's not applicable, it's not in the shoreline.
Yep, not in the shoreline. Do I hear a motion that 6C does not apply?
I'll make a motion that 6C does not apply because it's not in the shoreline zoning.
Second? I think that's Dave. I see his lips moving.
Dave Ashmore,
Okay.
second.
Okay, all those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy?
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I. Moving on to section 5.9. Shoreline, or, yeah, shoreline does not apply.
I'll make a motion that 5.9, section 5.9 is not applicable because the property is not in the shoreline area.
Okay. So we made,
We need a
oh, right, second. Thank you, Tracy.
Dave Ashmore, second.
Okay, and all those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Rosen.
Yeah.
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I.
Any conditions? Permit?
Yep. Any permit conditions? Hearing none, sounds like we don't have any permit conditions. And we already have the motion to approve the application.
And Tracy,
Huh?
Meredith and Tracy.
Meredith and Tracy, first and second. All those in favor? Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I. Two down.
Approved.
Thank you. Okay,
You
moving,
all set?
yep.
Don't forget to sign that page. and then-
Oh, look, can you pull the page out?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Oh, okay, good. Can't forget to sign.
Okay, here you go.
I haven't signed in person in so long. It's like, you know. Thank you.
Okay. Page, okay.
Max, where's there somebody else?
You're it.
What, you're
On
done.
the video.
Okay, let me just find my. Oh, here it is. I think the planning board needs to plant like 10 trees a year to make up for all this paper management. Okay.
I second that.
I second that.
You guys do this every Wednesday or?
It's a Wednesday. Second, fourth.
Okay. So on the agenda, we're on conditional use approval, section 4, number C, letter C. Conditional use approval application 004-2022. Name 10 Schoolhouse Ledge LLC. Agent Joshua Burho. Location 10 Schoolhouse Ledge, Northeast Harbor. Tax map 005, lot 031. Zone is Village Residential 2, also known as VR2. Purpose, section 6B.8, fences and walls exceeding code enforcement officer authority. Was this advertised and abutters notified?
Yes, it was advertised in the Ellsworth American on Thursday, February 10th, 2022. A letter went out to abutters on February 7th, 2022. And this, they went to 10 abutters households.
Okay. Any conflicts of interest on the board? What does this say? This is an application for my neighbor, would like to know.
Hang on, you haven't opened it to the public yet.
Oh, I was just trying to read. Okay, gotcha. We haven't opened it to the public. You're right. Okay, I will get to that comment in a moment. Yep. So we did have a site visit, and that was also the Tracy and Christy show. And Tracy, can you report
Yes.
on the site visit?
So the site visit was scheduled for 4:35, I believe, and we were at the residence in the parking lot waiting and figured that the fencing was really down along the road, so we walked down the hill and we were looking at it. And Mr. Burho showed up in the nick of time, and we observed. We stood in the road and observed there's a portion of fence to the left that's in place, and then a series of metal posts, and the posts had fencing on them coming up to a ledge, including the ledge, and then from there, I think including ledge, from there forward in front of us, the posts were just bare. And upon speaking to Mr. Burho, we learned that there used to be some chain link fencing that was greatly deteriorated. And when the property changed hands, they decided to sort of improve upon that and have taken down the deteriorated fencing leading up the posts. And the crux of the matter is that the portion of the fencing that is currently up is satisfactorily located, but the portion that only has the posts to the ground the posts are actually a little bit too close to the center line of the road bed. They need to be 26 feet from the existing road bed and the center line, sorry. And the difficulty comes in the fact that the existing posts are apparently drilled into the ledge and have been there for years. And in the meantime, trees have grown up and are sort of in the area where you want to relocate the posts a little bit further back. So that's what I've observed.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to add any other information?
Yes, just yes, it's about 110 feet. That is within the 26-foot setback. Within, it's really, yes, yeah, 110 feet is within a foot to 6 inches within the setback. And to move that back would damage very healthy trees holding that bank. So to move it would certainly hurt any wildlife and would hurt that bank, I believe.
Okay.
It's to replace the existing fence with something that looks better for the town.
Yep, in the same location as the old fence
Absolutely,
was in. Meredith and Dave, can you visualize and get what we're talking about?
I've actually been observing this fence and wondering what was going on with it. So yes, I'm very familiar with it.
Okay.
No.
I think it's very nice looking.
Good, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. So I'm going to open it to the public for comment. I did see something in the chat. Was that a comment? I'm not driving the
Oh,
computer.
she's
Is
raised her
somebody?
hand.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Yes. Felicity Telsman, yes. Hi
Yes,
there.
thank you very much. And I very much respect the care with which you're doing your work. I've listened for the last hour and a half or so. I was not able to understand. I can't visualize, and I know that area of our house is right up next to the property line of the Roberts who are putting in the fence. I can't remember a chain link fence. Could the person who went to the site visit describe to me, is it to the, if you look at the Roberts driveway at 10 Schoolhouse Ledge, which comes out again very close to our house, is the fence to the left of that driveway or to the right of it?
The applicant, wanna
The
answer?
fence runs along Millbrook Road.
Oh, on Millbrook Road. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In
the
which
fence
case
is-
I have no objection to that being a nicer fence. You're right. I do know that fence and it is old.
Yeah, so that's a chain link fence that they're replacing with this 4.5 up to 5 foot cedar solid fence.
That will look much better and that's fine. I just had visions of a 4 to 5 foot cedar fence going up between our houses. And they have done an extremely good landscaping job when they put up the new construction. And I didn't know why they'd want to hide that with a fence, but this fence has nothing to do with my view then. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for asking for clarity, because it's a little confusing, because where the property is the property, but then it slopes all the way down to the road where Millbrook is, which is why we were not exactly where the site visit was initially.
You know, as a child, I played in that area and could never get through that fence.
You can get through it right now.
I'm a little too big and too old.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments from the public? Hearing none. Okay. Is there anything left for the presentation? You feel good about it?
Just, yeah, that's.
Wait, at our site visit meeting, you spoke about the diameter of the existing trees. You might want to put that forth
Yes.
into the record so it's clear what is
Yes, which,
there.
a 5 foot, what do you say, the 5 foot high, 6 to 8 diameter, healthy maple and oak hardwood trees are there, and softwood trees. So I mean, to move the fence back to remove those trees would be, you know, hurting the bank, and yeah, it would.
And it makes
not good
sense,
for
because he's
road.
gonna use the existing fence posts and just put a wooden like cover over it, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate this has to come before you guys, but chain link fences are exempt under the ordinance for, review, but because he's doing solid over 4 feet, now it has to meet the setback requirement, which Millbrook Road is 40 feet wide, so you go from the center in 20 feet, and then from there, you have another 6 foot setback from the edge of the road right of way. The hence the reason why he has to go 26 feet from the center of the road. So that's why it's before you. I
Yeah.
tried like crazy to get it under 4 feet, but
You did. I tried to.
yeah, you tried with the owners, but they insisted on having. the
Without, we
five,
just
so-
for water runoff, to keep the water running the same as it is, we needed to have that room for clearance. I mean,
Yeah, we did have one neighbor show up to the site visit, and she asked some questions, and do you remember who it was? Anybody know who it was?
She lives right across the road, I believe.
Yeah, so across the road of Butter,
Ontario names,
yeah.
but,
So it's
she's-
nice.
She's been, so far, the whole neighborhood has had nothing but positive things to say about that fence. Except that it's taken too long.
Oh, well, you know, you gotta go
Well,
hike
it's
the AT.
unfortunate, he didn't know he needed a permit.
No,
So he
I've
began
never-
without a
this is the
permit,
first
and
one.
I called, said, what's going on? And that's.
I
what
thought it was
triggered
because it was pre-existing,
Yeah,
and that's why I told you, I would have certainly come to you guys first, I thought it was. but-
well, we'll get it resolved, not a big deal.
The first time you make that mistake. Second time, no. Okay, do I have a motion to use?
The short form.
Yes.
Tracy Keller. I'll
Did you
make a
find the
motion.
application complete?
Oh,
Yeah, okay. Can you start with a motion to find the application complete?
I'll make a motion to find this application complete.
Okay, looking for a second?
Dave Ashmore, second.
Okay, all those in favor? Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, aye.
Stacy,
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I. Okay, now,
I'll make a motion to find the application complete.
No, hold on.
Oh, short form, motion for the short form.
second,
I'll make a motion. I'll second that.
okay, all those in favor, Dave? Are you in favor, Dave?
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, aye.
Tracy?
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I. So we found the application complete. We decided to use the short form. So I'm pulling out the short form. Oh, I'm gonna make, sorry. Can we get a motion to approve the application?
I'll make a motion to approve the application.
Dave
Okay,
Ashmore, second.
Okay, so Meredith and Dave, okay. Press pause. Now I can go to the checklist.
Got it.
Good job.
Okay. Bill, you don't have to come back. I got this. No. Okay, starting with the checklist, 6A, general performance standards. We're gonna start with compatibility. And on the application, it says, please refer to the site plan for physical size, visual impact, proximity to other structures, density of development. So we're gonna say see application. 6A2, erosion and sedimentation control. It says there will be minimal soil disturbance at the existing chain link fence posts will be used to overlay the new cedar posts. See application. Moving on to 6A3, highway safety. The replacement fencing will be installed.
Will begin, yep, be installed on sidewalk, yep.
Yep, the town road / right of way on Millbrook Road. The solid replacement fencing will not cause any public safety concerns with respect to the use of the public roads, and parking is not applicable for fencing. So for 6A3 highway safety, see application. 6A4 impact on town services, not applicable. So I'll say NA for that one. 6A5 land suitability, there will be minimal soil disturbance as the existing chain link fence post will be used to overlay the new cedar posts. See application. 6A6 lighting, there's none, so that's NA. Moving on, if I can get the paper to catch. 6A7 storm water. Stormwater, it says application standard met, fence is minimally raised above grade, stormwater runoff will continue on its natural course. So C application. 6A8 vegetation. It says NA because using the existing post means I don't have to chop anything down. 6A9 dust, fumes, vapors, odors, and gases. NA. All right, do we get, can I get a motion for section 6A general performance standards?
I'll make a motion that
Keep going.
section 6A, the standards have been met.
Can I get a second?
Tracy Keller, I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy?
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I. Moving on to 6B,
B.
specific performance standards for activities and land uses.
The only one in this one would be 6B8, the rest would be not applicable.
Okay, this defense is in well.
Okay, should I read
Now, what you can read is what it says,
for 8?
yeah, what it says on the, I don't have it in front of me, the checklist. Yeah, you can read that, but none of the standards of section B apply except for section 6B8, like.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so in looking at section 6B, the only one that applies is 6B8, which is fences and walls. And what it says is that this, it's applicable. Wait a minute, let me read the description first. The proposed solid fence will not meet the additional 6-foot setback of section A as above. Please refer to the description on the first page as to why I'm requesting the planning board waive the required 6-foot setback from the edge of the road right of way.
So the applicable standard is not met because you guys have to grant a waiver for the edge, the 6-foot, the additional 6-foot setback on the road waiver.
Okay, so the motion probably should be that for 6B, the specific performance standards, none of them apply except 6B8.
Correct.
And of that one, the standard is not met, which is why we were looking at a waiver for it.
Right, and therefore you, yeah, they're requesting the waiver of the additional 6-foot setback from the roads right away.
Okay, does somebody want to so move?
Do we include the offering of the waiver in this motion, or we say the?
Yeah, you would, because, yeah.
Yeah.
Or is this, yeah, because we could say 6B.8 is not met. And then say, but I guess, and so we are granting a waiver.
For the 6-foot, for the extra 6-foot edge of right of way, road and right of way.
Due to the existing poles, we're granting a waiver of the 6-foot distance from the right of way.
Road / right of way.
Are you making that motion, Meredith?
Yes, I make that a motion. I make a motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Tracy Keller, second.
All those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I. Moving on to 6C, shoreline zoning.
I mean, it's not in the shoreline zone.
I make a motion that 6C is not applicable as it is not within the shoreland zone.
Second,
Tracy Keller, second.
all those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy?
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I. Moving on, huh?
5.9.
Oh, moving on to 5.9.
I make a motion that 5.9 is not applicable as it is not within the shoreland zone.
Second,
Tracy Keller, second.
all those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy?
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I. So we have the motion on the table to approve the application. Meredith,
Any
then
permit
Dave.
conditions?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Any permit conditions on this one?
We granted the waiver on 6B, correct?
Yes. Hearing no permit conditions, we will move to approve the application. The motion was put on the table by Meredith, seconded by Dave. All those in favor, Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith,
Randolph, I.
Tracy?
Tracy Keller, I.
I myself, Anastasia, I. Can we get the thingamabob to be signed?
Yep.
So you're all set. You need a building permit for the 110 feet.
Enough, yeah.
So fill out a building permit application. All you gotta do is really the first page,
Same.
because I'm gonna submit, I'll keep you with this stuff here. And then it's $110 for the permit,
Okay.
all right? Thank you.
Thank you for your patience and grace.
Oh, yes, ain't nothing to sign.
No.
Sure you didn't have anything else better to do this evening.
No, no, thank you, gentlemen, and David, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, moving on to 5 of the agenda, meet and greet potential planning board
Yeah.
members.
She's not here and she's not even online. I don't
Gloria,
believe.
Gloria, where art thou?
Is there anyone named Gloria online that we don't see?
I don't see her. Yeah, I don't, she dropped this off and
Did she know she was supposed to come?
Jen sent her an agenda, so I don't know her, so we can probably put her on the next one, because I'm sure you guys want to meet her.
Should we call her right now?
No.
Her phone number? Yo! Would you like to be my chair? It's yours. Actually, if you're not here, you get appointed.
I guess we could add her to the March 9th agenda, you know.
What was her name? Or
Gloria Kunj, Kunje. Kunje?
she's at the Northeast.
So we'll do her another time, I guess, because we've got land use stuff.
All right. Not having
It's under other.
a potential planning board member to meet and greet, we're gonna move on to section 6 of the agenda, which is other.
Warrant article. 20.
Yeah, so this is warrant articles proposed for the May 3rd, 2022 town meeting. I'm bringing them to you now just to kind of inform you on what the Land Use Advisory Group Committee has come up with, but on March 9th, you're gonna be voting on them and recommending them to for the May town meeting. And then it's gonna go to the warrant committee on March 10th. You guys received copies of them, I sent them to you. The first one that's being proposed is the is lots for the exception to allow an accessory residential dwelling unit on a property, provided your lot meets the minimum lot area for the district in which the property is located. We're adding the word per lot in this section because I've been getting a lot of questions recently, actually, for properties where if somebody has 2 acres and the zoning is 1 acre zoning, they can have 2 houses, but then they want to know if they can have 2 accessory residential dwelling units, and that's not what the intention of this exception when we added it was to do. So
1 per lot.
it's one, therefore we're adding just 1 per lot. Any questions on that?
No, it makes sense to clarify something like
Well,
that. It
it's
seems
been,
really
a lot
important.
of it's been coming, a lot of people, somebody that wants, asking to buy a big lot and then they want to do these houses and then accessory buildings, rent them. It's all, I've been hearing about these, and I'm like, well, it's one per lot. Well, that's not what it says. So we're just trying to make it clearer instead of muddy, or,
Yeah, I think it's a super important distinction. Like, I think that was probably assumed, but people
Yeah.
might be trying to maximize that gray space given the trends on the island
yeah.
in housing, especially seasonal housing. So,
If they want that, all they have to do is divide it, and make 2 lots, or if.
Yep,
And then they can do it, but I agree.
yep. All right, so that's the first one. Any other questions? No?
No.
All right, the second one is it's a zoning change for a property on Long Pond. Map 9 lot 10-6. If you look at the zoning map, there's a little piece of land that's close to Long Pond on this piece of property that was in the Vista subdivision. And it was designated resource protection back in, I want to say 2007-ish, where DEP, a representative for DEP came and visited me and Kyle. And the town of Mount Desert didn't have any properties within the town designated as resource protection. And there's 5 criteria in order to meet the resource protection. And one of them is, or if you guys, I'll just read them real quick, probably are like, Kim, please don't. So one of the areas, so one of the areas is that the areas within 250 feet inland waterfowl and ladybird habitat, Long Pond does not meet that. The area is within the 100-year floodplain as mapped by FEMA. This elevation, Long Pond elevation is like 63 feet, and this lot is just above it, like 64, according to the information by the Tom Benson survey. So it doesn't meet that, so it's outside the floodplain. The area that's designated resource protection has to be 2 or more contiguous acres of sustained slopes of 20% or greater. And Roger said this is 0.42 acres. So it's not 2 acres. And the area of 2 or more acres of wetlands not connected to a surface water body. This isn't, it's just a chunk of land on the ground. And then that the land adjacent to coastal wetlands and steep slopes, steep bluffs, this is a wetland, freshwater wetland, so it doesn't meet the coastal. So this has been run by DEP. She has given me a letter stating that if Kim agrees, I agree, ideally. So Roger Sadamon, who's a soil scientist, did all this information, did all the research, walked the property, did the acreage of the wetland as designated on the map. Got the Tom Benson floodplain elevation, and so he's done the research, and this is going to town meeting to remove it from Shoreline Residential 5 and resource protection to the Shoreline Residential 5.
and what's the motive to remove it? Is there something
You
that
can't
can
do
be done?
anything within, like you can't do a path. You
Mhm.
can't build in it anyways, because you could build up behind it, but they want to be able to have a pathway going down to
Yeah.
it. You're very limited on what you can clear, unlike in the shoreland zone, you can limb trees a third and do a point system to,
Yeah.
that type of stuff, but you can't do that in resource protection.
So given that it doesn't appear to meet any of the criteria, how did it ever get that designation in the first place?
Like I said, when the DEP representative came, there was like a certain distance that if there was no development, that they classified it to. Well, the house that was built next door wasn't there at the time, so it was all vacant land up in the front.
Yep, it made sense then, it doesn't make sense
Right,
now.
yeah, but doesn't. And if DEP's on board, it's their rules. And they did the homework and satisfied. You had to at least meet one of the criteria
Mhm.
to be able to put it in resource protection, and this didn't meet any of it. And I'm sure we'll get more along Long Pond, because there are more in that area similar to this.
Any
Any
questions on that
questions? DEP came down with some more interesting things. You have to, within the shoreline zone, you have to provide pre and post construction photos for when permits are issued. So you have to show what the site looks like in the area that you're gonna develop and what you're proposing. And then I have to go back after and they have to show post photos of how it was developed to make sure it met with the permit that was issued criteria.
Yeah.
So that's a new rule, that one more thing to add to code enforcement.
That'll be something that people will submit to you and you'll keep on file.
Correct. Yeah.
Digital or print or?
Digital, yep, yeah. It says photographic records required. Permit applications for development within the shoreline zone shall provide pre-construction photographs as part of the application material, and no later than 20 days after completion of the development, post-construction photographs of the shoreline vegetation and development site. The photographs must be sent with a copy of the notification form or labeled with the applicant's name and location in which the activity took place. So you gotta show before and after photos. I'm not sure why. They must be coming across, or people must be complaining to DEP that people are not complying with what they have to get a permit for. So we're adding this under the permit application provision in the land use zoning ordinance. Any questions on that one?
No, I see some photoshopping for some people. Though.
Yeah, it's just one more.
Yeah. I mean, like a photograph is not really evidence anymore sometimes, you know, but okay.
Well, I use the ArcGIS a lot
Mhm.
for like tree clearing.
Mhm.
Because I can go back to like 2011 and even earlier.
Mhm.
And I just actually had a violation where the.
But that's like when you're looking down on. the
That's
land,
right,
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
And I just had a violation where somebody had to replant 79 trees. Because and it was protected by park too. There was 125-foot conservation easement that the Canadian National Park put on the property.
Oh,
Ouch.
Yeah, I got a complaint from somebody that was out kayaking in the ocean.
Hmm.
And I had to go with DEP, and so. It was a joke though, what they replanted, because it's unfortunate because of the slopes of the property and the very minimal material of fill that's there. I mean, it was just, it's gonna take more than like my lifetime for them to grow up to what they were. Because ideally, you're supposed to replant what you take out. I mean, these are really big trees, and diameters were huge.
Did they say why they took them out? Were they red pine or something, or just?
No, he took them out, some had fallen down, and then he created just the openings for his view for his house and lawn area. So that's been done. It's all good.
Mhm,
And then finally, non-conforming lots. I don't know if this was brought up before to you guys, but your MMA manual, which I didn't know this was even in there. With non-conforming lots, how it's always been interpreted is if you have a lot that's pre-Luso enactment that is X, and you wanna either change your boundary line or add more land to a lot to make it more conforming, but not to its, to the minimum lot size within the zoning district the property is located, you can't do that today because that will take your grandfathering status out of.
Oh, wow.
It'll take you out of your grandfather status. Well, this provision, which is in your manual, which I'm glad an attorney gave it to me, because I have people that want to either change boundary lines or give acreage, but not bring the lot up to conformity.
And keep their
And you
grandfather
can't, yeah, but
status.
keep the grandfather, but you can't do that. So This amendment will address an ambiguity in a case law regarding non-conforming lots to clarify that if a non-conforming lot is altered by adding acreage, but not enough acreage is added to make it conforming, the lot will retain its grandfathering status. But due to shoreline zoning rules, this would only apply to lots that are not wholly or partially within the shoreline zone. So you can't. And this is a state statute, the shoreline zoning where you can't alter a lot. We adopted back in 2015, the dimensional standards for variances. And in the variance dimensional standards, the zoning board of appeals does not have authority to alter lots that are wholly or partially within the shoreline zone. So that's why this is in here as well, is that it doesn't apply to shoreline lots. Because if the zoning board of appeals can't do it, town property owners can't. And so we're adding an A under the non-conforming lots that says the lot lines or acreage of a legally existing non-conforming lot of record may modify without causing the lot to lose its grandfathering status, provided that the lot is not wholly or partially within the shoreline zone, and that such a modification does not make the lot more non-conforming.
Right. Wow.
So of course, we want properties to be more conforming, but if you can't get it ideally to the current zoning, to the minimum lot area, you shouldn't be penalized by that and taking your lot out of non-conformity, just because you want to add more land or change your lot line.
You're making it
You're making it less non-conforming by getting closer to what the lot area can be to the lot, but you're not making it fully a conforming lot. So I thought that would be good,
Yeah.
to add to the, and I'm glad I had an attorney send it to me because they had changed the lot line and I said, you can't do it. And so they changed it back, and then they found this language in the planning board manual. So I said, oh, I want to add that to the ordinance. Because I do get people asking if they can alter their lot, either by changing the lot lines or adding more acreage, but because the statute has always said, or the rule has always been, touch it, you lose your grandfathering. So any questions on that one?
So close counts for more than just horseshoes. Any questions?
I have another question for Kim, just outside of, not on those. I just having gone through all the quarry issues and everything, did anybody ever try to create a noise ordinance? Or is there a reason why we?
As long as I've been here, one person went to the Board of Selectmen that I know of and was asking to have a noise ordinance created. But the reason they went before the board was because they wanted to sleep in. They didn't want noise. They didn't want construction to start at a certain time. So the board just was like, they kiboshed it. And ever since then, we haven't had a lot of people really ask about a noise ordinance.
I was thinking if there's any chance that our verdict gets overturned, it would be really helpful if we now made sure that we installed a noise ordinance so that we have something, we were left with not really a whole lot to argue about. And it comes down to, why don't we have a noise ordinance? And yeah, people are going to make noise. It has to be allowed that people do construction and so forth. But I really do think that the town that we should move on it, that we should enact a noise ordinance. And then if they do get it overturned in the courts, we have something to push against them.
Don't you think, like, when you do a noise ordinance, you get into this whole thing of whether it's qualitative or quantitative, right? So how are you going to measure when somebody's breaking the noise ordinance? And I'll tell you, the quarry visit we did there, where it was super quiet, all I could hear was a dog barking and some kid practicing violin. And it was actually quite loud because of the way the shape of the land was. So I don't know.
Well,
I
we
mean,
got in the quarry ordinance discussions, the whole decimal things, and that there are things that you can read it, and it becomes a pain in the butt in terms of if somebody complains, then regulating. But I feel like if we put that, a decimal rating in as a noise ordinance, if something became a real issue, we'd have grounds on which to argue it. It would be something that just most of the time would be difficult to argue about. But if we got in a pinch, if somebody was really a problem, you'd have something that you could say, all right, well, we took a iPhone out there that had the app that measures decibels on it.
I wonder if that's a question for the solicitor, because
I would think it would have to, be something that would be placed on a Board of Selectmen agenda, maybe.
yeah, because then they'll just say you put it in place to keep.
Or
the
you
quarry
could,
out.
or you could ask the land use advisory group if that would be something to be considered. We're gonna be working on rentals, short-term rental ordinance we're gonna create. That's coming.
And it even would be a discouragement just to even have the land use ordinance, have something in there so that people knew that there was a legal grounds to say you can't be making so much noise long term. I mean, I think that even if it's difficult to uphold, it's still worth considering having in there.
I think if there was a noise ordinance or was restrictions, the applicant would figure out a way to cut the noise down.
Right.
I mean, there's definitely technology and ways to cut the noise down. So if there was a noise ordinance and a way to measure it, they would stay under that.
And I think that would be a good thing. I
do too. I think it'd be great. Kim, can you bring that up to Noel, that we mentioned that that we think that we ought to talk about on the land use zoning committee about a noise ordinance?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. I think it just has to be kicked somewhere else, to sort of see what.
I just was curious. It's just all of those years, that was really always what it boils down to ultimately, was noise. And I'm like, when we got told the things the applicants could have been doing at the final review, I thought what they could have done is worked on a noise ordinance. And I don't know why somebody didn't work on that.
Okay. Anything else?
Duly noted.
Duly noted.
I think Christie did a really good job.
Yes, you did.
And I'm especially pleased by the fact that she called on me first, because Bill always calls on me last. So I'm very, very happy. And I'm not going to read anything into it either.
No, I thought it was, I noticed that it created a more equal thing, because Bill always calls on the person who makes the motion first and then the person who seconded it. And it kind of always creates this hierarchy. And I like the calling on the people who didn't first and second it first to even it out. I thought that was very good.
My biggest problem being called on first was getting the damn thing off from mute. No warning.
No, thank you. Bill asked me to do it. And he's like, are you ready to do it? And I was like, I'm never going to be ready to do it. So I might as well as just do it. Because you can't ever be ready. Yeah, you just got to hold your nose and jump in, Well, everybody helped me out. So thank you. I did create some little cheat sheets. And oh my God, I had a long day. So this is like at the end of a long day, but it's still good. It was totally a team effort. So now I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, do we have a second?
Tracy seconds that.
All right, all those in favor, Dave.
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith.
Randolph, aye.
Tracy.
Tracy Keller, aye.
Anastasia. No. I myself, Anastasia, I, which is the weirdest sentence in the world. What is it? Oh, yes. So if there is no objection, the meeting will now adjourn. Hearing no objection, the meeting is adjourned. We need a new hammer, by the way.